Thank you.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Marlon. So I'll be sharing the experience of DepEd, in terms of the implementation of the CSSF. I think we can consider DepEd to be a champion of the CSSF. Next slide. So this is the flow of the presentation. I'll be in terms of the CSSF in the education sector. We'll also be able to talk about the trust, needs, and gaps, pillar 1, 2, and 3, and takeaways. Just a context, I think that in the Philippines, we are considered now to be first in the World Risk Index according to the 2022 data. We usually get a minimum of 20 plus typhoons. We have it all types of disaster except snow. And in terms of the DepEd, we have around 27,000 schools. We have 1 million employees, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, around 22 million learners. Okay, next slide. So, next slide. So, as early as 2015, we have already institutionalized DRRM in the basic education framework, and we have integrated the CSSF. So, if you look into the slides, we have the strategic directions, the areas coming from RA 10121, that's a law, prevention, preparedness, response, recovery, and rehabilitation, and the CSSF in terms of the 3 pillars. Number 1, safe learning facility. Number 2, school disaster management. And pillar 3 would be DRR and education. Next slide, please. So it is, in terms of the CSS initiative, CSSF is embedded in the M&E processes of DepEd. In fact, in 2019, the CSS monitoring tool was integrated in the basic education information system. So the tool captures in terms of the enabling environment. So we have put in place the systems as well as the policies. And again, the 3 pillars. Next slide. As to the trust, we adhere to the national building codes and non-structural mitigation measures. We have to look into that. So we observe those things. There are policies that has to be observed when it comes to the construction of the schools, precisely because workmanship, I think, is very important. As to the risk assessment, maintenance, waters, and power are in place. So we obviously want that in a school. Those are basic needs, and they should make learning for our students better. And we also have the National Greening Program. So like the garden, solid waste management, and tree planting. So we usually conduct those things. The schools have their own sort of small backyard farm garden, wherein these are aligned with our trust for the National Greening Program. And we always conduct this, a so-called Brigada Eskwela, school brigade, wherein the stakeholders, particularly the parents and the LGUs, would help in cleaning the schools prior to the opening of the school year. Next slide. As to the needs and gaps, we observe, and this is obviously a result of there is a need, as I've mentioned. We suffer thousands of classrooms which typically are affected or damaged by the different disasters. So there is a gap in terms of the construction of new classrooms. And we also want to improve the learning facility designs to make it more at least adept, or at least to be able to adjust to the different disasters. Particularly if you notice, we have been experiencing super typhoon, and the lack of group hand washing facilities and gender segregated toilets. We also have to be gender sensitive, and we also have to implement hazard mitigation measures. Next slide. As to the, I think that one was pillar one. No? Pillar two, the school safety, educational continuity management. Next slide. So as to the trust, as to the pillar two, there is a need to look into the, we look into the physical and environmental risk reduction. We want them to follow it. We have implemented policies. There are guidelines. Administrator and teachers' capacity for schools safety management are ensured. We provide capacity building, and education in emergencies capacity and educational continuity planning are in place. We have already established protocols. We have linkages with the different government agencies and our NGOs and partners like Save the Children, UNICEF, and others. And children participation and empowerment. So like with the Save the Children, we have implemented the so-called BERT, wherein the children themselves would be able to identify the hazards within the school. So they are actually not only just observers, but they actually participate and they decide in terms of identifying the hazards that are present in their school. Next slide. We also, it's when we talk about the RRM, we have to look into the evolving functions and the evolving needs. So there is the need for us to look into, because we have DRRM capacity coordinators down to the schools. So as I mentioned, we have around 20,000 plus schools. So down to the school, we have a DRRM coordinator. We also want to improve the communication of policies about school safety. While obviously the policies are typically in a technical or legal language, we want to translate it in such a way that it would be understandable to layman, to teachers who do not have the time nor the expertise to comprehend or at least understand the technical jargons usually used in the memorandum. And we want to improve monitoring of hazards and disasters. So I think this is one thing that we have already developed an app again with the help of Save the Children. We are also in terms of we want to put up the so-called Matatag Center, wherein we could actually at least monitor and at least project the path of the typhoon, the possible damages in terms of the facilities as well as to the lives of our students and personnel. Next slide. And this is the pillar 3, risk reduction in resilience education. Next slide. So we are trying to standardize the RRM and SICAM training, and modules have been rolled out to schools. Some of these are from our partner institutions. We are also very active with national agencies, in relation to DRRM and SICAM. We conduct nationwide earthquake drills. We also conduct an announced earthquake drill every month. And we have risk reduction and resilience and climate change education in the informal education. So I think one of the questions that was raised earlier was in terms of about what about those PWD. So we also try to capture those learners. So we want to integrate DRR in their learnings, and the creation of DRRM subject in the general academic strand, particularly in the senior high school. So this is already embedded in the educational sector in the country. Next slide. As to the needs and gaps, we want to improve learning delivery of DRRM and SICAM. I think the usual challenge is how do we really measure in terms of the impact. We can claim that we have already incorporated, but as to its effects, really, I think it is a little bit challenging. So enhanced learners' understanding, that's also a challenge because, again, there are technical jargons, but some of our learners and some of the communities, they adapt their own vernacular interpretation, or they have their own language as to as to what these possible disasters are, and include DRRM and SICAM items in the National Achievement Test. So we want it incorporated in the achievement test so that we can actually see what are the gains and what are the areas wherein we could still improve, and expand collaboration efforts with the communities. Again, at the end of the day, when we talk about DRR, it's a shared burden, and the community has, I think, they have a very critical role in handling DRR and in including the comprehensive school safety. Okay, next slide. What are the takeaways? Number one, it is already embedded. As I mentioned, we have policies on this one, and we are, in terms of monitoring and evaluating CSS initiative, we are trying to come up with projects on this one to really measure the CSS initiative, and we are trying to look into it. And the measures for safer learning facilities are being followed, but new designs for buildings are needed. Our initial design for the temporary learning space, some said that it's a little bit it's hot in terms of the warm temperature, so we're trying to improve on it. And schools have existing capacities and guidelines for learning continuity. We do not, as a policy, we no longer do alternative modes of learning, modular, online, etc. And DRRM and SICAM are integrated in the curriculum, but again, the challenge is really in terms of measuring it. Next slide. So I think that concludes my presentation. Again, my gratitude for everyone listening to